Welcome to New Light Living Podcast. Today, in this episode, we're going to talk about why we're ignoring our own needs, and also how we can balance if you are in a situation where you feel that you've been giving, and on the back end, ignoring your own needs, what that means and how you actually can come back to balance. And what I mean with that, we're going to go into it in a minute. We're also going to talk about self-care, because often we ignore our own self-care, and we care about others many ways, but our own self-care. And I'm very, very passionate about self-care and the role of that and the importance of that. And I want to bring it up today because it's very much linked to this ignoring our own needs that so many of us have done for years. So welcome to today's episode. The ignoring our needs, that pattern, or if you will, that because it is a pattern, it is something that often that we're taught by watching relatives or our parents on how they handle situations and dynamics with other people. And often it is this serving energy, where only a giving energy, if you will, and projecting energy is involved, not the give and take, where we could say it's more of an imbalance. And why do we ignore our own needs? I think what we've been taught often is that we have to do before we can receive. So that belief that there is something we always have to do to deserve to receive something is in play. But I would argue that that's not necessarily so. I want to challenge that belief, and that has caused many people to be in that pattern of do, and at the end of the day, we deserve to receive something. And it's in other words, they call the hustle culture in many ways, when we hustle, and then we come home exhausted. And I've done that for many years in the past, so I know exactly that dynamic. And how do we go from ignoring our needs and just pushing and hustling, whatever we want to call it, to this balance of giving and receiving, where we still can keep our own energy to ourselves during a day, but still give to others? And that is a balance between masculine energies and feminine energies. And I want to just mention what this is all about, because both of these energies are within us. The balance where we are not exhausted is when the masculine and the feminine energy within us is balanced. Masculine energy is often our logic, but also our ability to act. And I'm speaking in very simple terms here, but just to kind of exemplify this balance that we can put in place ourselves. And the feminine energy is more our ability to stay in flow with our environment and inside ourselves, but also our ability to use and our intuition. So this balance between acting and flowing with the situation is a balance that we can put in place ourselves. Because sometimes we also hear that people say, well, my husband is ignoring my needs, or my friend is not recognizing my needs. That is actually also a belief that many of us have, that other people needs to satisfy our needs from the outside. And I want to challenge that opinion as well, or that sense that somebody else from the outside needs to fill us with what we need. And going back to this balance between masculine and feminine energies within ourselves, it is a self-discovery from knowing what is it the masculine energy, for example, that I've been using now for my whole day, all morning. I've been acting. So maybe in the afternoon, I need to sit back, rest, and enjoy a great cup of tea. That is one way to balance the masculine and the feminine within a day. But if we go, we act, masculine energy all day long, then no wonder we come home exhausted, right? So for you, how does that balance look like in your day between masculine energy, which is a lot of giving, projecting out, and receiving, which is the feminine energy, where you take back your energy within yourself, you enjoy a cup of tea or whatever it is, resting. I want to give you some tips on how to get in touch with what your needs are. And also the topic of self-care, which is very much linked to allowing that balance between giving, receiving to happen, because self-care is very much on the feminine side of energy, which is nurturing yourself, basically. And for many, many years, it has not been really okay in our society, if you will, to first spend time nurturing ourselves. But what if that's what you need today? So the exercise that you can do if you feel that you want to come back into balance within yourself, stop the ignoring your needs kind of pattern, here's something that you can do. It always starts with asking yourselves a couple of questions to become clear on what is it that I'm ignoring within myself when I'm stepping over the boundary of exhaustion, if you will. And you can ask yourself, I'm going to read from my book here, Wisdom Beyond What You Know. In one of the exercises I have in there is to ask yourself a question: in what situations are you pushing through and ignoring your own needs? So sometimes it can be a situational pattern that, for example, every time you are coming home from work, for example, you just go ahead and start dinner without taking a breather. And sometimes it can be very simple like that there's an order of things in your day that makes you simply exhausted, that you can change around and intentionally allowing your day to flow differently. Often our patterns are created in the past. We've been watching our relatives or parents or immediate family do the same thing over and over again. So another question you can ask yourself is, think back how this pattern has come about. And if you can, if a certain person comes to mind, that's a good indicator that that's where it comes from, right? And it can be different also. The best thing is to kind of think about a situation, a person, and try to identify where this pattern is coming from. Now, to get out of this and to bring yourself more into balance is to also feel out, what is it that I want instead? How do I want to feel instead? And that's also a really good exercise to do, to journal about how do I want to feel when I am in balance, when I'm not ignoring my needs, when I'm honoring my needs, and when I'm serving others, right? Because this balance is how we balance our feminine and masculine energies within. So, and that's how self-care starts. I would say also that when you're able to balance your feminine and your masculine energy within yourself, that's balance. But it often starts with that we need to ramp up the self-care of ourselves first.